What would you do if a cruise ship performer scolded you for being in the audience? What's going on? My name's Jared. Jordan is working on the travel agent business, booking away your cruises. You can go to jjcruise.com if you want to book your cruise through us. But today's story is, well, quite controversial. But before we get into this story, please hit the subscribe button. It's free to you, means the world to us. And we're on the road to 50K, so you can be a part of the first 50,000 subscribers to JJ Cruise. And while you're at it, hit that thumbs up. Now, like I said, today's story of the high seas is one that is, well, very controversial and one that we have our thoughts on, but we want to hear your thoughts. So please, at the end of the video, leave your comments below. If you haven't been on a cruise ship performances are some of the best performances out there, or they can be. They go from cast performances of main production casts that live on the ship for 6 months, maybe 9 months at a time, and they do main cruise ship production shows. This can be everything from Broadway-esque shows to that of review shows, where you have your top 40 hits kind of put together, sometimes in a story, sometimes not. But then you have specialty acts that could be like, pianists, or they can be acts like acrobats, maybe jugglers, magicians, singers, dancers, you name it, you can see it on a cruise ship. Today's actual performer here is not one of the main production casts, but is a specialty act. These specialty acts are brought on sometimes just for 1 week, sometimes for months at a time. This specific performer is one of our favorites, and we have seen them many a times on celebrity cruises. We are on board the Celebrity Edge, and this performer, when we saw that they were going to be performing on our cruise ship, we were stoked. And when I say stoked, I mean stoked. They are absolutely one of our favorites, and that is why we will not be just actually saying their name for this, because we don't want a single person in casting or the powers that be change a single thing they do for casting this performer, because we absolutely love them. That said, we do have to talk about what went on in our show on board this cruise ship. This theater provides 900 seats. Now that is max capacity. Of course, not every seat will always be taken. And for the show that I'm going to be talking about, there was plenty of seats. In fact, I would say it was about 2/3 full, probably a good 200 to 300 seats available. Since this was a specialty act, this is an act that only happens one night the week, and that happens for an early show and a late show. This happened to be the later show because we had dinner during the early show. So I'm not sure exactly what happened in the early show, but in the late show, we noticed that there were a lot of people that came in late to this show. And when I say late, I mean like 30 to 40 minutes late. If you are familiar with cruise ship shows, typically they're only 45 minutes long. Of course, you can get a Broadway-esque style show that could be 90 minutes or longer, but this one specifically, and most specialty acts, are only anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes. This one was just a little longer than that because the Captain Tassos, was going ahead and announcing all of the senior officers at the beginning of the show, so it started about 5 to 10 minutes late. But with this show, we noticed over 70 people, that's right, 70, over 70 people came into this show late. Now, the audience that made up this show ranged from the US, Canada, and a lot of Europe. We are in the Mediterranean right now, and there may be a cultural difference here that we would love to hear from anyone that knows. But this was way more people coming in late than usual. Now, this specific performer did a great job starting off their act. They wowed the audience multiple times. In fact, this performer received 2 standing ovations. And those standing ovations were throughout this show. In fact, including after this performer actually made a very specific call out or scolding to the audience. So just know that even though the audience may have gotten scolded, this performer was well received and well appreciated, as they deserve to be. This specialty act starts talking about their family. And their family both at home, but their family also here on board the ship, which is that of the cast. The cast, the main production cast, as well as the specialty acts, such as the comedian and anyone else that was here to perform for everyone on board the cruise ship. This was their family on board the ship. And they started talking about, please respect my family for all of the remaining shows. They were getting off the ship early because it was their final show. And they really wanted to note that it is extremely rude and wrong to come to an actual cruise ship performance show late or leave early. They said, please come on time. Please do not come in 30 minutes late. Respect the people that are performing for you, giving their heart and soul, and do not come late or leave early. I was a little bit shocked that they said this, and we could hear kind of that muted undertone of like, ooh, this is interesting. What made it even more interesting is as they were saying this, people started walking in. Now, of the 70 people that walked in during their show, every single one of those 70 people came to the front of the theater or came too close to the front and then asked everyone to get up in an aisle so they can sit in the very middle section. That's correct. Every single one of the 70 plus people did that, meaning that those 70 people disturbed the performance at hand for those that showed up on time or earlier than them. This performer was speaking about this as two people started coming in and did the exact thing that they were trying to say do not do. These two people walked up towards the front and then asked in the third row for everyone to get up so they can come in and sit in two seats. The performer was a true performer and did not skip a beat. They did not mention this audience member. They didn't say something to scold that specific member. They just said it to the entire audience and even went on to state, you all spent so much money to be here, but I am still paying money on my education so I can be on the stage for you. With my 2 degrees, I am trying to pay those off just as much as you're paying off this cruise. So please respect all the performers and give them your attention for 45 minutes straight, and we will give you our hearts and soul as well. I am shook by this statement because I agree, of course, that people should not come in late and come to the front. But this statement was definitely taken to the next level of saying, please, we know that you pay a lot of money. We also are either people that don't make a lot of money or are paying off a lot of bills at home. Please treat us as equals. That is what this performer was saying. That did not necessarily go over well with all people of the audience. This was one of those performances that stood the test of time for talent, skill, and absolute pleasure as an audience member. But that one moment was definitely something that we haven't seen a performer ever do, scolding the audience for coming in late or leaving early. And mind you, 70 people is way more than we usually see in any audience. So with that said, what are your thoughts? Leave your comments below. Do you leave cruise ship performances early? We know on Broadway, they shut the doors 5 to 10 minutes after the show starts and usually hold anyone that comes late to come in at a good point in the show where it won't disturb most guests or other people watching the show in the audience. Do you think this is something that they should do on cruise ships as well? Should there be actual crew members or entertainment staff at the doors holding people until there's a good time for people to come in? Let us know your thoughts below. Or are you someone that's like, this is absolutely ridiculous. This person is absolutely wrong and they should not be saying this on stage. Let us know your thoughts below. I have to reiterate, this person received 2 standing ovations during their show. One before they mentioned their scolding and one after. So the audience loves this performer. We love this performer. So it's nothing to do with this performer. But please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, see ya.